Shalom Israel, happy Sabbath. So today's lesson, I'm going to prove without a doubt that Native Americans are Israelites. I have artifacts, I have scriptures, I have our garments, I have like pyramid references, I have language references, and just overwhelming evidence. So for our first one is the Book of Mormon. The Book of Mormon has an article here. It's about Chief Joseph. He had an Assyrian tablet, and that star on his tablet. That's very important. Remember that star? That's an Assyrian star, and it says in the letter that it's an Assyrian tablet. You can dig deeper into this, but it says in the letter here that it's an Assyrian tablet that he got from Assyria. And as I said earlier, that's the Assyrian star. It's very significant because it shows that the tablet that he had came from Assyria, and the Israelites were in Assyria at one point before we came to here. You can read that in 2nd Esdras 1340 to 45 if you want to dig deep into it, but the Israelites were in Assyria, and that's an Assyrian star. I couldn't find a better image. The other ones had license problems, so. But yeah, that's an ancient Assyrian star called Assur. The artwork's called Assur. But yeah, it's the same thing that's on the Assyrian flag, and it's the same thing that was on the artifact that the Native American had. So we were in Assyria. Before we came here, we were in Assyria. That's why he had an Assyrian tablet. And the next article right here is from Johnson Humrick House Museum. It's the Newark Holy Stones. So it's a group of Hebrew stones that were discovered inside of an Indian burial mound. It had the Ten Commandments written in Paleo Hebrew, and it had an image of Moses on it. Right here, the Book of Mormon states that the 10 lost tribes of Israel relocated to North America to live with the Native Americans. The existence of the Newark Holy Stones seems to give credence to their views. So yeah, they discovered these Hebrew stones in ancient Hebrew, Paleo Hebrew, which was recognized by a Jewish man, with the 10 Commandments and an image of Moses on these stones. So it only makes sense. And right here, another artifact, the Los Lunas Decalogue Stone Commandments rock. So it had same thing. It had the 10 Commandments in ancient Paleo Hebrew, but this is on a massive stone. It was really huge. They discovered this out in New Mexico, Los Lunas, New Mexico. And this is in Canada, the Native Americans in here, in Quebec. So it's the 961, an article by the 961, and it says 3 mysterious stones prove Phoenicians reached Canada over 2,500 years ago. And if you look into the Phoenicians, they were just outside of Israel. We were influenced by them. They were influenced by us. We were in their vicinity. So that's why we had a Phoenician stone here in Canada. Well, I like to group us all natives like throughout North America, South America, all the same. We're all indigenous Americans. So there's evidence up north in Canada that we are Israelites. And down to Brazil, like down south further, the indigenous people there are Israelites too. So you look at this article, Earthly Mission. It's an article from Earthly Mission. And it says, the mystery of Brazil's ancient Inga stone might have just been solved. So this is a massive stone with hieroglyphics discovered in Brazil. And it has some links to the ancient world. Right here, you go down, it links them to the Phoenicians and the writings in ancient Egypt. And also the indigenous artwork found on Easter Island. So there's links between the Phoenician writing, the ancient Egyptian writing, and the Native American writing. And here's my next source. It's a history book called North American Indian Burial Customs. It might be a bit hard to find. I had a little bit of trouble finding it. It's a pretty old book. And right here it says in Ohio, Kentucky, they were mummifying their leaders. Florida, they were mummifying and embalming their leaders. That's an Egyptian custom that the Native Americans were doing. And here's my next source, History of the American Indians by James Adair. Right here it says, we often embalmed the dead bodies of those who were rich, even buried treasure in the tombs with their dead. That's an ancient Israelite custom. Go down, it says, except the Cherokee. They were influenced by the traders, the settlers. Only one instance of deviation from this ancient and general Indian custom occurs. So the Cherokees weren't doing it. It says, which was that of the Malachi, and they weren't doing it either. And you go down, who bequeathed all he possessed to his real and adopted relations. So they started doing what the settlers are doing, giving in the belongings of the deceased to the family members. The Cherokee of late years by the reiterated persuasion of the traders. So they were persuaded by the traders, left that custom. Go further down, it says, notwithstanding the North American Indians, like the South Americans, inter the whole riches of the deceased with him. So the North American Indians, the South American Indians, same thing. They were putting all the riches of the deceased person with them. All right, so the next one, pyramids. We're getting into pyramids. There's a pyramid, that's a Mayan pyramid with the temple up top. That's a Native American pyramid. So we're building pyramids all across the Americas, South America, Central America, North America. And we built altars of earth or stone, so you'll find variations throughout where we migrated. And that's in the hidden book, the First Maccabees chapter 13, verse 28. We were building pyramids. The Israelites were building pyramids. You can see it here. Moreover, he set up 7 pyramids, one against another, for his father and his mother and his 4 brethren. So this was a Levite. He was an Israelite. He was building pyramids, just like we were here in the Americas. Same with our fringes and ribbons. That's in the Bible too. This is in the Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible written by Moses. It says in the book of Numbers, chapter 15, verse 38, speak unto the children of Israel, and bid them that they make them fringes in the borders of their garments throughout their generations. So he's talking to the Israelites, and he's telling us to make fringes in the borders of our garments. You can see that at powwows. Everyone's got their ribbons, their fringes, and we just didn't know where we learned it from. It says right here, throughout their generations, and that they put upon the fringe of the borders a ribbon of blue. And you look at a lot of traditional Native American, Indigenous American tribes, we would put a ribbon of blue on our clothing. Sometimes the ribbon color varied, but we all wore fringes. Yeah, you can see here, just Google traditional Native clothing museum. You can see the border, the ribbon of blue and the fringes, just according to the Torah. And here's my next source. It's an old book. Originally, this was written in the 1500s by the Quiche natives, but it was translated to Spanish in the 1600s by one of them that he learned Spanish, and he was with some of the preachers and stuff, so he translated the writings. And then eventually it got translated into English in the 1800s and then republished. But right here it says, The three great Quiche nations with which it particularly deals are the descendants of the 10 tribes of the kingdom of Israel. And it says we migrated from Assyria, like I spoke about earlier. So that's proof right there that the Quiche natives themselves were saying that they came from the lost tribes of Israel. They knew it. And it says right here, together these tribes came from the other part of the sea, from the east. The eastern hemisphere, we're in the western hemisphere. And it says, these then were the three nations of Quiches, and they came from where the sun rises, descendants of Israel, of the same language and the same customs. Same language, same customs. We'll get on languages later. Yeah, right here actually. Abba. Abba means father in the Dene Native American language and also in Hebrew. So you can look it up yourself. Just Google Dene Abba and Dene Hebrew, and they both mean father. It says some Dene languages do have words that sound like Abba, Appa, Abba, referring to a male parent. And I'm not Dene, but in my mom's language, we also call our fathers Abba as well. It's a Hebrew word. That's where it came from. And that's the end of my class. So they didn't just steal our land. They stole our whole identity. They covered things up. But I'm here to spread the truth. I've been studying this stuff for years and years. I've got a lot more information too, but I tried to make everything concise and put together. I'll expound upon everything eventually, and you can always reach me at my phone number there. It's listed. I have the QR code for my app. Any questions you have, shoot them off. But yeah, we're great people. We're the greatest people ever, and they tried to cover that up. So tell your children you're great. All right, shalom, happy Sabbath. Have a good day.